This is problems 15, 16, and 17 from Chapter 2 of the CFA Institute textbook, Corporate Finance, A Practical Approach, 2nd edition. I'm doing these together because they all have to do with the NPV profile, and it's just easier to illustrate all three with a demonstration. So let me create two cash flow problems. This is cash flow A and cash flow B. And we're going to construct NPV profiles. Times 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. CFA costs $1,000 up front and then brings in $200, then $300, then $400, then $500. CFB costs $1,100 up front, brings in $600, $500, $400, $100. Okay? So an NPV profile simply takes the net present value at a variety of discount rates. So if the discount rate is 0, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%, I'm just picking those arbitrarily, then the NPV for B would be equals NPV, pick the rate, I'm going to lock in that column, take the NPV of the cash flows in periods 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then net that against the present value of the cash flow in time 0. And format that so we'll make it pretty. Alright, so now that I've got this NPV profile, you can see that they're different in each of these periods. I also want to look at the crossover because that's the difference. The difference between these two, I'm just going to take B minus A. So to get the NPV profile for A and B here, I do an XY graph and I take the thing dots with lines on them. And I can see from the XY graph with regard to the profile of two projects, the crossover rate is the rate best described the discount rate which two projects have the same NPV. And we don't have a crossover here, so let me cheat a little and make this a little higher. See what happens there. There, now we got a crossover. A crossover is where this line intersects this line. Okay, and if I take the IRR or the difference here, that'll tell me what the crossover rate is. At 7.92%, that's right around here, this is the rate of return on the horizontal, NPV on the vertical. Where they intersect, by definition, they both have the same NPV and the same required rate of return. So if the IRR for two projects is these two projects is identical, then at that point they're going to have the same NPV at this crossover point. Okay, so the crossover rate, 7.92, is the point at which they both have the same NPV, which is on the vertical here. Alright, now the IRR for both of the projects is what the IRR for the projects is. And we can calculate the IRR here. The IRR is different for these two projects, okay? They don't have the same IRR. The crossover rate was the rate that if the cash flows were both discounted at 7.92, then the NPVs would be the same, which all I got to do to calculate that. Notice that the NPVs are the exact same now when I use the crossover rate here. Okay, it doesn't change the shape of the graph any. Alright, so that's the answer to 15. At the crossover rate is where the NPVs are the same. With regard to the present value NPV profiles, the point at which a profile, let's use the blue one here, crosses the vertical axis, that's a point at which, at the discount rate, it gives you the sum of the undiscounted cash flows. Alright, undiscounted cash flows means that that's the sum. Negative 1,000 plus all those other numbers is 600 for B. Negative 1,100 plus 1,100 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 1. The sum of these is 1,600 minus 1,100. That gives you the sum of the undiscounted cash flows from the project is 600. Okay, so that's where it crosses the vertical. Where the line crosses the horizontal, that's the point at which the NPV is equal to 0. Okay, so the NPV, which is the number on the vertical axis, alright, at 0, that's the point at which the IRR for the project is. And we can see for the project in blue, the IRR is, I don't know, sitting down there around 18, so 17.6, and it's up above 20 for project B, 21.6. So that's where it's crossing, right there at 21.6. Okay, so the answers are A, B, and C for this one. Stupid Doceri, I own 2 versions.